Now, I started the show asking a question, what's the longest you've ever driven? I don't mind driving, you know, but 68th day drive is not beans. It's not a joke. It's worthy of being celebrated. It's worthy of being talked about. Following this epic 68-day solo journey, yeah, from London to Lagos. It did happen in a car. You know, Pelumi Nubi has reached her destination, Lagos, Nigeria, etching her name in history as the first Black woman to accomplish this remarkable feat.
I've had to rely on people for a lot of things. And as a woman of color, I've had limitations placed on me. This is one place I can be myself. I've found my freedom in travel.
And joining me now on the show from our Lagos studio, Tourism Ambassador of Lagos State, the first woman in the world to drive from London to Lagos, solo drive from London to Lagos, Pelumi. Tourism Ambassador, now she's hearing me. Pelumi Nubi, first of all, wow. I should give you a round of applause because you are a superhero. What? Pelumi, how did you do it? Really, that's just where we're gonna start. How did you do that all by yourself? Summarize it for me.
Honestly, I think I'm a reflection of my name, you know, Pelumi, which means God is with me. Even though I was doing this very solo, I felt like, you know, I had the faith, I had the community to support me, and I took a very long time planning this trip. It wasn't a spontaneous thing. It was well meticulated, and, you know, just lots of experience that I have from previous travel experiences put together to such a big, grand project. And I'm so grateful that it came out in all of success.
You know, I'm so grateful for you too. And today our conversation is going to be more of a deep dive because people have questions, Pelumi. And I think for that purpose, it will be, where did this desire come from? Why did you decide that you wanted to take that solo trip from London to Lagos?
So in terms of travel, I've always loved it. I love cultural immersion. I love showcasing new places to people so that they can explore. I feel like being on the road teaches you a lot of things that you don't necessarily learn like in school or in other places. So when I knew that, you know, I wanted to connect these two places I considered home, which is Lagos, where I was born in, and London, where I grew up, I just wanted to explore West Africa specifically. And, you know, you could fly over places, but there's something about road trip that slows down the pace and make it a lot more immersive, which I really enjoyed from a previous trip where I solo drived across Namibia by myself. So it was just a new and different experience. I realized that within the overland community, there was not enough people that looked at me, and representation really matters. I feel sometimes we need to see people that look like ourselves before we, you know, embark on things like this. So I was just trying to almost create a new path for people to start new adventures and exploring the African continent, and hopefully to inspire the new generation to go after what they've always wanted to do.
Inspiration. I mean, anyone who's seen what you've done would be very aware of the fact that impossibility is nothing. Now, I'm well aware of certain challenges that you had while you were on this trip. So the one moment, would you say, what was it when you were most terrified? When you said, am I sure I can do this? I'm sure you had multiples, but if you could go back on your trip, what were those moments when you just asked yourself, what am I doing?
To be honest, like I think there was just a kind of horse blinder on me where I was so focused or determined to get to the finish line. So those moments didn't really happen frequently. But like you said, you know, travel is a reflection of life, and it has its high and lows. And definitely there were moments whereby I was like, whoo, this is harder than what I anticipated, or it was difficult. You know, we had the car accident when I was, you know, in a car crash, definitely in a foreign place without my close family members and friends. Having to navigate that, you know, was quite difficult. So, you know, with the support of people from abroad, you know, being there in person too as well, was just, you know, tremendously helpful. But those moments were definitely challenging. You know, being alone, being solo, being a female, you know, navigating this very sometimes hostile situation and having to just be street smart and, you know, work some magic, you know, when you're talking to like border control or checkpoints, just to understand that, yes, I am by myself, but I'm not vulnerable and you can't take advantage of me. So yeah, there were definitely times I felt uncertain, but I just kind of make sure I push through no matter what.
That you mentioned border control, because I remember, was it in Liberia? You mentioned you had to spend and like you spent a couple of nights at the border. Basically, you had
Yep.
several challenges. What I found most intriguing, Pelumi, was, and this is not to shade anything, because your journey has highlighted a lot of salient issues while you were going through Europe. It looks like you had less issues at the border than when you came into Africa. Is this correct?
This is absolutely correct. But then, the way the Europe has been built in terms of like, with the EU and, they just made sure that there are no physical borders. So when I was driving from France into Spain, it didn't even feel like I was transitioning between countries, especially except on when you like, get to separate or like I'm in new countries, but there were not physical borders per se. But the moment I got into Africa, especially West Africa, there were very obvious borders and lots of limitation. I faced a lot of, officers with incredibly corrupted, and just kind of like trying to navigate that, and not trying to pay bribe and trying to understand, you want me to pay this amount, will I get a receipt for it? If it's no, then this is not an official payment, and I don't want to be involved in that. So there were definitely lots of challenges in terms of my car being right hand driven, for example, and trying to explain the law to them, and just a whole lot of things I had to navigate. But ECOWAS and the movement of people wasn't truly as free as I anticipated.
Sorry you had to deal with these things. I mean, I kept on just asking, was this your time of the month? I'm so sorry to bring that up, but did that come up during this 60? I'm sure it did a couple of times. I need you to break this down, Pelumi. How were you showering? How were you? I know I saw the car.
We'll go in there.
I saw the car, and I know you did, but literally how? Like, I would see you in the morning making videos, and you look as fresh as a dove. And I'm like, hold up. Does she have a house in this car? Because I'm not understanding. So I need you to really break it down for us, because Pelumi, we are curious. We are.
More than happy to break it down. And that's what this trip was all about. It wasn't just meant to be like, rosy and, just all good. I really tried to show the ups and downs, the moments where I was crying, upset, happy. It was all the emotions that normal humans have. And you're right, as a female, I definitely had my time of the month where I was bleeding and having my period. And I tried to be transparent about those moments as well, where I was feeling low and it was an engagement of a complete stranger inviting me for coffee, just missing home, missing my bed. I did convert my car to have a mattress in there where I could camp and sleep. So I did wild camping at some part of my trip. But also, when I was in those moments at the time of the month, I tried to stay on campground or even in hotels, just so that I could have like showers, like you mentioned, morning and evening, just so I can maintain that my hygiene level to top notch. But yeah, in terms of like, when I'm wild camping and just kind of sleeping on the side of the road or in the middle of the desert, I tend to, when I wake up the next morning, just make my way to like a closest, hotel or something, like, hey, can I use your facilities? And they're more than willing sometimes, for an extra change or something, just to save on costs, because this trip was, heavy in terms of expenses, and I tried to cut down budgets as much as possible. But when I stayed on campground, they had like facilities like showers and all of that stuff. So it made it. I use an app called iOverlander, which is really amazing because they also give reviews from previous travelers. They kind of tell you, oh, this campground is great, maybe avoid it because it's not so good, the facilities are not so good. So just having those resources and researching my path and my routes where I'm going to be doing layovers and stopover for the night, just again, it's the level of details of planning that I had to go into this because I was doing it solo.
You were doing it solo, but I imagine you had such a huge team behind you, did you?
When you mean a huge team, I did have like a media team behind me, but there was no like, in compared to people that have like a team on ground with them. So when you're doing this kind of trip, you're trying to, break record, or you're trying to like go this, 10,000 kilometers like I did, most people have like a driver, or they have like a, cook for them. So they don't have to worry about that after driving many hours. They have like a medic person that probably checks on them. They have like a logistic person. I was doing wearing this multiple hats and producing and creating content all at the same time. So in terms of team, it was a very, very heavy on myself, and I just had to push through because I had a mission to show that this kind of adventure is possible, and I wasn't going to let anything stop me.
And you didn't, Pelumi. What are you most grateful for now that you've done it?
The gift of life, being alive, I do not take it for granted. Journey mercies, I was in a car accident, and just being able to walk out of that on without no broken bones or, losing my life, I am forever grateful for that. I'm grateful for the community I have, been able to bring together. We started, on Instagram for like 12,000 followers. We've grown to almost 250. Same for TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, we're everywhere. Just showcasing the African continent, being able to people to like, subscribe to coming back to here and not having one side narrative of Africa is full of, just wild animal roaming the streets and just one side narrative, to be able to contribute to that narrative that Africa is great and there's tourism and you can visit. So it wasn't just a drive, it was really to showcase that you can do hard things and the continent itself is great for tourism too as well. So I'm proud of just really crossing that final line, showing that the impossible can be done. Because really what I want is people to look and say, at one point I thought that London to Lagos was impossible, but I've seen Pelumi Nubi do it. So what else in my life do I consider impossible? Maybe I can go ahead and do that same thing. So really I'm hoping to continue to do this, continue to spread that message. And yeah, I'm just delighted of how far I've come, and there's many, many more to come.
I just had an idea, Pelumi. Imagine if a tourist agency, like a tourism company, says to you, Pelumi, would you do this again? But this time, we will support you, but we just want you to take like 10 people on this journey. Would you advise that? Because I imagine people are getting ideas.
Look, if you're thinking about doing a trip like this, do it. It's life-changing. There's something about doing something this audacious that just really change your mindset about what the boundaries you put on yourself. That sounds like an amazing idea, having a group of people experience this with me. But for people that cannot, join on that, I hope, the social media posting and stuff can inspire them to go on their own adventure. I remember travel is the mode in which I use. I do want people to start their own things, to see it and start their own businesses, start their own, whatever ideas that they've been wanting to do for a very long time. But definitely now that I'm even in Lagos, I would love to showcase Lagos as a whole, Nigeria as a whole, and just continue to push that message that, the magic is in the doing.
It definitely is in the doing. Now, Pelumi, you've done it and you've been welcomed home. Your homecoming was absolutely amazing. Your car is now a monument to be admired at the J. Randall Center. You've been giving a home. You're the Lagos Tourism Ambassador. With all of this, what's next for Pelumi Nubi, really?
Honestly, this is just the beginning. I'm so excited to even start listing what I have plans. It's almost like putting a cap on it. I want to continue, like I said, to promote tourism within here in Lagos, Nigeria, and across Nigeria as a whole. But I feel like if we start in Lagos, that will expand. I want to continue to inspire the next generation. I'm already talking to the youth minister to see what we can do, and that's why the homecoming was based in the University of Lagos, amazing institution that really did a befitting homecoming and really continue to inspire the next generation that they can do audacious thing. Maybe start, a movement of women can drive because we can, and not just the physical sense of driving a vehicle, but we can drive businesses, we can drive homes, we can drive innovation. And that is what I want to keep pushing forward, to not put ourselves in a box, but to keep pushing all the barriers that have been put upon us.
Is it now? I don't envision that you will be driving back to London now. I don't think so. Would you?
No, I wouldn't be driving back to London.
Well, Pelumi Nubi, this has been a great conversation. Again, congratulations to you.